Got my little dinosaur over there too. It's Jerry. Hi, this is Ciaran Movie Reviews.
No, stop that again, because I was like going, ah.
But that's the kind of cheer I want. You get my shot. Happy New Year! Get out of the shot! True.
Oh my god, you come up now when I search you on YouTube.
That's not true. Holy shit, that's quite cool, isn't it?
You never used it.
I'm relevant. Welcome guys and Happy New Year! Yay! It's 2019 and I don't like just chilling out in years. I like to set myself challenges. I like to put it out there. A couple of years ago I watched 366 movies in a year and it was painful. I started to not like movies. I ended up breaking up with the girl I was dating. It was horrific. So let's do it again this year. This year I am basing it on directors. I'm going to watch 25 directors' films. Well, 5 films from each of the directors. 125 films, not as many as the 366 before, but it's still a lot of movies and I'm going to document each one with you guys. I started off with a pretty huge director, I mean probably one of the greatest of all time, starting with Steven Spielberg, and off the top of my head I had to pick 5 movies of his. I wanted to pick 2 of my favourites that I loved and then I wanted 3 brand new ones I hadn't seen. I'll be honest, there's not many Steven Spielberg films I haven't seen, and so you'll see how I based it on. I wanted one of his early works, one of his most acclaimed works, and then just a random one that I fancied doing because it had been recommended by someone else. So the 2 films I started off with were my favourites of his. I started out with a pretty big one. To kick off my 2019 Film Director Challenge, I started off with Jaws. Da-da-da! So that's what I started off with. One of my absolute favourites. I adore Jaws. I didn't when I was younger. I didn't like it when I was a kid because it's terrifying and it made me not want to go swimming. And that's the beauty of it. As an adult, I kept rewatching it, and the more I watched it, the more I fell in love with it, and that's why it's my all-time favourite Steven Spielberg film. As I know it is for a lot of other people, it is brilliant. So the beauty of the film is that everything was going against Steven Spielberg. He was getting on this big budget film based on a shark, and the shark didn't work. The actors he had with him weren't playing ball. 2 of the main 3 actors hated each other, and actually I think at one point had a fist fight on set. It was awful. He had everything going against him. This giant animatronic shark wouldn't work, and somehow he pulled out one of the greatest films of all time that kicked off the summer blockbuster. As I said, that was the first summer blockbuster. And then studios started bringing out huge films in summer because of Jaws. The real reason I love this film is because it builds and it builds. It is a train and it starts picking up speed, and just it gets to its finale when you actually start seeing the shark. Even though the shark doesn't look very real when you look closer and look at it with new eyes, when you first watch it, it's still terrifying. Because he hid the shark for so long, Steven Spielberg purposely didn't show you the shark because it wasn't terrifying, but built up the fear. So when you see him, you're still terrified of this villain. And I kept getting excited for each scene. I'd see a scene come up and I'd get excited because I knew what was about to happen. And when you rewatch a film and you get excited about just small scenes, it shows how much of an effect it has on you. For example, the one that I'm thinking of at the minute is the wine scene. So when Hooper comes in with the wine, which is Dreyfuss's character, and they just talk about decanting it and they're just drinking before they go and cut open a tiger shark. I loved it. That's why Jaws had to be on my list of 2019 films to watch with Steven Spielberg. Then we move on to my second favourite Spielberg film of all time, and it's only just, and that is Jurassic Park, of course. It was really hard to bump Indiana Jones down to 3rd, but I had to. Jurassic Park makes me feel like a child. I cry every time they see the Brachiosaurus for the first time, when they get off the Jeep and he pulls his sunglasses off because he's in absolute awe of what's going on. I have tears in my eyes every time I see it, and that's because I'm a huge child and I love this movie because it fuels my love of dinosaurs. I also love the very fun thing that Steven Spielberg does with this film. There's a lot of overlayering foreshadowing, which is very clever, mentioning dinosaurs that we don't see when they go on the tour that show up later on. It's, as an adult, very cool, and as a child, awesome. If you don't like this film, and that's fair enough, but I do think you need to lean into the front and you'll have a great time and feel like a child. Now I do, and I have a lot of friends who adore this film. It's definitely one of their best of all time, and it's definitely up there for me. So that was kind of the Spielberg films that I had seen, and I wanted to kick off with those. It was a nice way to start my challenge in the year. Then I had to go into strange territory, see films I hadn't watched, and I wanted to go back to the beginning of Steven Spielberg's career, and I started off with, I watched a film called Jewel. So this came out in the 1970s, and Jewel is based on a family man played by Dennis Weaver, and he is trying to drive to a meeting and then drive home. And while driving through, I'd say in the middle of nowhere, sort of Route 66 kind of roads, and while he was driving through these roads in America, he's being chased by a lorry driver. And we never see the face of the lorry driver, but it's this kind of very high intensity car chase across America. And it's all set in the cars. There's a little bit in a diner, but it's mostly set on the road. And as soon as it started and you see this car mounted camera kick off the film, it felt very Spielberg. As the film went on, you could see that it's a young Spielberg being very resourceful with what he was given. And it's very clever, especially the ending as well, which I won't spoil, but it is very engrossing and very enjoyable to watch. But for me it was lackluster. The actors didn't really click with me. The lead, who I think you're meant to root for, I didn't care for at all because I didn't relate to him. He almost seemed like a bad person, and it was only when he started losing it a little bit halfway through, getting very anxious like it was all in his head, that I started going, oh okay, this is an interesting character. But at no point did I want him to win. For a lot of it was rooting for the lorry driver. But there we go. That was Jewel, a really entertaining Spielberg film, and it's worth watching to see what Spielberg does with cameras, angles, cars, and especially for the end as well. But overall, it doesn't really stand up to what he gets up to later on. Okay, I've got a confession to make. The fourth film in the challenge, it's a bit of a shame of mine. As a film fan, it is pretty bad that I'd never seen this film, and I had never seen it. This film will be Schindler's List. I have never seen that film before last night, and for most of the film I had tears in my eyes. I said to my friends afterwards that I watched it with, I don't know why I'm laughing, but I was crying for most of it. It is emotional, it is heartbreaking, and I said to my flatmates that I were watching it with that I can't believe this filmmaker can cause so much joy and then in another film so much sadness, and it broke my heart, and I keep thinking back to it and I have tears in my eyes. It was unspeakably painful, but such a beautiful film to watch, and afterwards I just, it felt wonderful. Of course, it's a story about one man, well, several people, but one main man, Oskar Schindler, kind of feeling a lot of love and saving a lot of people in the process. And I just recommend watching it at least once in your life. It's not one you want on a repeat watch because it's heartbreaking, but it's definitely worth one watch. Spielberg pulls out incredible performances from Liam Neeson, from Ben Kingsley, from Ralph Fiennes as well. All amazing performances. And then I wrapped off Steven Spielberg with one final movie. And I wanted to end it with something upbeat after Schindler's List, so I went with a film called Hook, another film that I'd never seen. Robin Williams led. It's of course a story of Peter Pan and Peter growing up and then having to go back into Wonderland to save his children and meeting Captain Hook once again. And it's just a delight. It's Steven Spielberg doing his thing. Anybody who has seen every single one of Steven Spielberg's films and say they haven't enjoyed themselves at all are lying. I think if you want to get enjoyment out of anyone, you just want a good time at the cinema or a good time just at home, watch a Spielberg film. He has a great way of showing joy on screen, and Hook for sure is one of those films that just makes you very happy to be watching it. Also, it made me very sad at the end. Robin Williams wasn't with us anymore. Because he's such a joy, and he really was very much Robin Williams in this film. There are some scratchy elements, so some of the CGI is a little bit off, but the film overall left me happy at the end, smiley, because Steven Spielberg just has fun with these films, and is very good at making a good blockbuster and very good at making me quite happy. He's very close to my heart, Spielberg, and I'm kind of very glad that I kicked off with him. There's going to be a lot of different directors in the challenge from different corners ones of the world, some that I'd never heard of, some of them that I've only seen 1 or 2 movies from, and some big ones. Steven Spielberg was a big one to kick off with. Next up, we have M. Night Shyamalan. That's what I'm going to be doing next. I'm going to hopefully learn to properly pronounce his name in that time as well, because Glass is coming out next week, in the UK anyway, and also I want to get to grips with a lot of other films. But thank you very much. Happy New Year. I hope you're with me in the challenge. If you'd like to join me, please do join in. Let me know which films you're watching for each director. But thank you very much for watching. Lovely talking to you about Steven Spielberg, and I'll see you very soon. Happy New Year once again, and let's make 2019 a fun director-filled year. And there'll also be some movie reviews up as well, so don't think I'm just going to be doing this. It's just a little thing I'll be carrying on through the year, as well as reviews of up-to-date movies, and also the Oscars are coming up, so I'll be talking about that as well. But thank you very much for watching. Subscribe, like, share, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.